Hello everyone, warm welcome to Super Coaching Regulatory Bodies YouTube channel by Testbook. I welcome you all in the next session of Finance Current Affairs, and as you all know, this is a must-watch session if you are preparing for regulatory bodies examination because many questions in all the phases are going to be asked from Finance Current Affairs in almost all the exams which are going to appear. So before we start the discussion, my name is Madhav Sir. Just let me know in the comment section that we are good to go so that we can begin the discussion without any further delay. If everything is fine, just give me yes sir, yes sir, yes sir in the comment section so that we can begin the discussion without any further delay. If you want to download the PDF of this particular session is available on my Telegram channel. So you can join this channel by scanning the code, or you can just type my handle name, that is MADHAVAORA, in order to join the Telegram channel. Got it guys? Fine. Good to go? Chal. So let's begin with the first news. The first news is very important. अगर मैं कहूँ तो आज का जो हमारा सेशन है इसमें दो न्यूज़ इतनी ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है कि वहाँ से क्वेश्चन फेज 1 या फेज 2 में ज़रूर आएगा. एंड इफ दैट क्वेश्चन इज आस्क्ड इन द एग्जामिनेशन देन मोस्ट ऑफ द स्टूडेंट्स दे विल बी फीलिंग कि आरबीआई ने क्वेश्चन कहाँ से पूछ लिया. बट if you are attending this session, you will be the one who are going to answer that particular question because it is a very important news which I'm going to discuss, but still it's not very popular. Still it's not very, I would say, obvious kind of information which is shared on regular basis on different platforms. So let's get started. I'll start my discussion with the very first news of the day, and the very first news is related to MOU has been signed between NUCFDC and IIA India to boost governance in urban cooperative banks. The moment you read all these names, I'm pretty sure for you all, most of the terms are new. It's okay. And in this session, I will be discussing about all these terms in much detail with you all. Guys, I hope you all have heard this term MOU n number of times. I'm pretty sure. Can you answer me how you understand a word MOU? If someone asks you what is MOU, then what is your answer for this particular question? We all know that it stands for Memorandum of Understanding, but what it basically means, that is what I'm trying to ask. What it basically means, how you define it. In a very simple terms, if someone asks you what is MOU, your answer should be MOU is basically a formal agreement between two or more parties, but remember that it is not legally binding on each other, rather it is mutual intention or commitment under which the agreement is signed. समझ आई ये बात? इसका मतलब क्या है? What I'm trying to say कि सर ये जो agreements है, MOUs है, what are they? They are basically the agreements which are signed between the parties, but they are not the legal agreements. In this case, only the parties they come in front और वो commit करते हैं कि we will be fulfilling the written conditions in the near future to go. So that is basically termed as MOU. So recently the MOU has been signed with respect to or in consultation with the term that is what? So the term we have is, we call it as urban cooperative banks. This time in this examination, that means in the upcoming 2025 exam, many questions are expected only and only related to urban cooperative banks because many updates have been done in the past. If I talk about urban cooperative banks were in news because earlier there was a expectation that urban cooperative banks priority sector lending will be increased from 60 to 75%, but now it has been came up with a statement that it will be remained as 60% only. So this is one of the most important news. Then urban cooperative bank news can be asked related to tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4. Then it can be asked with respect to the project finance. Then urban cooperative bank can be asked related to the prepayment charges on loan. So there are many aspects in which the question can be framed related to the urban cooperative bank. But now coming back to the question which we have, the question says the first term which is mentioned on your screen, or the first term which is written on the screen is, what is that term guys? That is basically, one second. What is that term? That is basically NUCFDC. That is basically National Urban Cooperative Finance and Development Corporation Limited. So this is National. What is that? So this is basically National Urban Cooperative Finance and Development Corporation Limited, which operates under the Ministry of Corporation. So when we talk about this particular department, first of all, we need to understand what is this department all about, and then we will be discussing the news. So I'm pretty sure that you all have heard about this term for the very first time. So what is this? I explain you the term in detail. National Urban Cooperative Finance and Development Corporation Limited is basically a centralized apex organization which is operating under Ministry of Cooperation. Who is the head of Ministry of Cooperation? Or give me the name of the Minister of Ministry of Cooperation. Give me the answer in the comment section. So it plays a very important role in reviving, strengthening, as well as modernizing the urban cooperative banks and cooperative credit societies across the country. So in that particular case, when we talk about the key objectives of National Urban Cooperative Finance and Development Corporation, you need to remember that it operates in the category of infrastructure. That means it supports the development of modern infrastructure in the urban cooperative banks. Then financial stability means it works on the capital augmentation, asset quality improvement, as well as risk management. It promotes IT enablement. It promotes core banking solutions. It also aligns urban cooperative banks with RBI norms, Basel norms, and it conducts training, technical assistance, professional skills, and whatnot for the urban cooperative banks. So why this this organization is important? So this organization serve millions of small borrowers, or I would say this organization serves urban cooperative bank, which is responsible to provide loan to small borrowers, trades, and middle income customers. So it strengthen urban cooperative banks, basically strengthen the access to safe and modern banking, and in order to safeguard them, in order to support them, this NUCFDC has been set up. So it is a backbone organization. That is, NUCFDC is the backbone organization that enables the transformation by ensuring regulatory alignment, technology adoption, as well as governance improvement. So in short, the day-to-day operations regarding regulatory alignment, technology adoption, and governance improvement is done through this organization, which we call it as NUCFDC. Now, the next point which I have for you all is that is IIA India. What is this IIA India? So this IIA India, it stands for Institute of Internal Auditors. It stands for Institute of Internal Auditors India. So Institute of Internal Auditors, basically what is it? So it is a professional body which has been affiliated with the Institute of Internal Auditors Global, which is based in US. So it promotes high standard in the internal auditing. I hope you all know what is internal auditing. For example, we are talking about a bank. If bank wants to analyze the risk on it, so bank will analyze the risk through its internal committees, through its internal officials. That is known as internal auditing. And when bank goes for external auditing, where someone from the other organization is called and asked to review the bank balance sheet, bank's financial statement in order to analyze the value of risk on the bank, that is basically termed as what? That is basically termed as external auditing. So for internal auditing, there has been an institute which has been set up, and we call it as Institute of Internal Auditors, and it is basically related to Institute of Internal Auditors Global, which promotes high standard in the internal auditing. It promotes high standard in governance as well as risk management of a particular organization. So it offers professional certifications like certified internal auditors. It provides audit frameworks. It comes up with the technical guidance, which is basically taken into picture in order to go for internal audit. Now, if someone asks me what is internal audit, I would say internal audit is an independent, objective assurance and consulting activity which is basically designed to add value and improve operations of the organization, which focuses on risk management, internal controls, compliance, operational efficiency and whatnot. So what has been happened? What is the news all about? So if I talk about the news, it says that recently NUCFDC has signed MOU with Institute of Internal Auditors India, and this MOU which has been signed, it has been signed with a sole motive, it has been signed with a sole objective to enhance internal audit practices and governance system of the urban cooperative banks. For that particular matter, this agreement has been signed. So let's decode it. So National Urban Cooperative Finance and Development Corporation Limited, which is operating under Ministry of Cooperation, entered into MOU with the Institute of Internal Auditors India, and the agreement was signed in Mumbai, and CEO of NUCFDC was present. The name is Mr. Prabhat, and CEO of IIA India was present. The name is KV Mukundan. So if you can just remember these names, it's fine. If you cannot, then you can leave it. It's not very important. It's not very important. Now, what is very, very important? That is the objective of this MOU. The objective is basically to enhance internal audit practices, and governance system of urban cooperative banks, aligning them with the global practice. So in order to align them with the global practice, now the internal audit practice and governance system will be enhanced under this particular agreement. So what are the key focus areas? The first key focus area is strengthening internal control system. Strengthening internal control system का मतलब क्या हुआ? सर इसका मतलब है encourage करना urban cooperative banks को to adopt structured internal audit process. That means the urban cooperative banks, they should adopt structured internal audit process. It should ensure transparent and accountable financial practices. So ensuring transferable and accountable practices, this is the first key focus area. Second focus area is adoption of international audit standards as per the standards which are accepted on the international level, which include International Professional Practice Framework by IIA Global. Third is capacity building and professional training, providing training and development opportunities to internal auditors as well as the senior management officials of the urban cooperative banks. Last but not the least is access to global resource. That means IIA India will provide urban cooperative banks access to environmental, social and governance framework, because IIA is related to IIA Global. AI powered auditing tools, online training modules, webinars, seminars, these are going to enhance the operations of urban cooperative banks, especially internal audit and governance operations. Is this point clear, guys? So remember that NUCFDC, remember the name IIA India, then remember what is the role of NUCFDC with respect to urban cooperative banks. If you think that you need to read more about NUCFDC beyond what I have explained, then also there is nothing to worry. I have the entire content for you. I'll quickly give you a walkthrough through this. So NUCFDC is basically, as I said, it's a centralized apex organization. ठीक है जी, under the Ministry of Cooperation. As I said, it plays a very important role in reviving, strengthening and modernizing urban cooperative banks. Responsible for infrastructure, financial stability, digital reforms, regulatory reforms and capacity building. These are the operations which are performed by NUCFDC. So yaad rahega, what is NUCFDC? If everything is clear, if everything is correct, just give me yes sir so that we can move ahead. Webber, this class is live on Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday at 5 p.m. or Monday, Wednesday, Friday ko, or at same time, that is at 5 p.m. you have your PIB current affairs. So you have to join this channel Monday to Saturday at 5 p.m. for your current affairs. Clear ho gaya ji? Aage badhe. Do reply. Wake up guys. Don't sit like this. Do reply. Pooja, you are absolutely correct. The Minister of the one who is responsible for the Ministry of Cooperation is none other than Amit Shah. That is absolutely correct. Moving on to the next news. The next news is easy. It's pretty easy. You might have gone through with this, but I will add certain extra information which is important, which can be asked directly or indirectly in the examination. So I hope you all know very well, Ajay Seth has been appointed as the new chairman of Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority of India. So remember that the appointments committee of the cabinet, which is headed by Prime Minister. That means Prime Minister is the chairman, which means Prime Minister is the chairman of Appointments Committee of the Cabinet. It has given the approval for the appointment of Ajay Seth as the new chairman of Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority of India. I hope you all are very well aware the way RBI is regulating the banking sector. In a similar manner, insurance sector is regulated by IRDAI. If I talk about what is the tenure is going to be, the chairman is going to serve for next 3 years or until the age of 65, whichever is earlier. What it says that, so what is the tenure? So tenure is either 3 years or age of 65 years. अब इन दोनों में से जो भी पहले हो जाएगा उतने टाइम का टेन्योर आपके अजय सेठ जी का रहेगा. He will be heading IRDA depending upon the tenure as discussed. Why the appointment was done? Because this seat was vacant since March 2025 after the tenure of Debashish Panda, who was the earlier or who was the former chairman. His tenure was concluded, and since March 2025 the seat was vacant, and now government has filled this seat, or government has appointed Ajay Seth as the chairman of IRDAI. Remember that how the selection was done. So there is a committee known as Financial Sector Regulatory Appointment Search Committee, which is headed by Cabinet Secretary, shortlisted suitable candidates, and the final selection is done by Appointments Committee of the Cabinet based on the recommendations of Financial Sector Regulatory Appointment Search Committee. Remember that this is the same committee which is responsible for the appointment of RBI Governor. The same committee is responsible for the appointment or for recommendation of IRDAI Chairman or SEBI Chairman or PFRDA Chairman. I will discuss about this particular committee in much detail. Just give me 2 more minutes. Before I move to the committee in detail, remember that Ajay Seth, he has also served as the Secretary of Department of Economic Affairs from 2021 to 2025 under the Ministry of Finance. He has also worked with government of Karnataka, central government, and most importantly, he has also worked with Asian Development Bank. He has also received, this is important, this can be asked not in RBI but in banking examination. This type of question can surely be asked, and the question is related to the award which has been given to Ajay Seth. So he has received Prime Minister's Award for Excellence in Public Administration. So Prime Minister's Award for Excellence in Public Administration in 2013, one of the India's highest award for civil servants, has been given to Ajay Seth. So remember that he is the recipient of Prime Minister's Award for Excellence in Public Administration in 2013. Now, I would like to discuss about the committee which I just mentioned, and trust me guys, this committee is really very important. There are chances that there could be a question asked directly or indirectly based on this particular committee, because this committee is responsible for the appointment of heads of RBI, PFRDA, as well as SEBI. So if you ask me to elaborate this particular committee, then I will come up in this manner that financial sector regulatory appointment search committee is a high level interministerial body which is constituted by Government of India. So it is constituted by Government of India, and it is responsible to identify and recommend suitable candidates for the key leadership roles in the major financial institutions of the country or in the major financial regulatory institutions of the country, which include IRDAI, RBI, SEBI, even we have PFRDA. Now we have one more name, that is Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India. So their heads are appointed or recommended by the same committee. On the other hand, if I talk about the heads of the public sector banks or public sector insurance companies, that recommendation is given by triple B. Now triple B has been replaced by a new organization, which is a legal organization. It is a statutory organization. Could you name the organization which has replaced triple B recently? I'll come back to my news. If someone asks me what is the composition, so the composition is, we have cabinet secretary, then we have secretary of Department of Economic Affairs as the member, secretary of Department of Financial Services as the member, and other domain experts. And other domain experts are the members, and they collectively go for interviewing the candidates, and once the interview is done, then they will recommend the most appropriate and capable candidate to the appointments committee of the cabinet, and the final approval is given by ACC, and the chairman of ACC is none other than Prime Minister of India. So what are the functions? So the functions are shortlisting eligible candidates. Along with shortlisting eligible candidates, they are responsible for conducting the interviews if required, as I just said, then making the recommendations, and along with this, it is important for ensuring the transparency and merit, that on what basis the recommendation has been set. So why it is important, sir? It is very important in the India's financial ecosystem, because the selection of capable, ethical and expert leader is very important, especially for the regulatory bodies. And if the regulatory bodies are doing well, then only the other organizations which are regulated by regulatory bodies can perform well. So that is the importance. So remember that if someone asks you what is Financial Sector Regulatory Appointment Search Committee, you can answer this. Whatever I have discussed with you, the entire data has been mentioned on it. You just read it once and you will have the entire clarity. Got it, guys? Is it clear? That's absolutely correct. Triple B has been recently replaced. My question was triple B has been replaced by which organization? Then the answer is Financial Services Institute Bureau. That is absolutely correct, Pooja. It has replaced triple B, and this change occurred in 2022 after the Delhi High Court order that declared that triple B is an incompetent authority, because of which FSIB was set up and triple B was replaced. Is it clear, everyone? Coming back to the news. Coming back to the next news. The next news is very important. वैसे अगर आपने notice किया होगा, I don't discuss with you the important initiatives or important launches which are done by n number of banks out there in the market, but this one is important. This has a potential that it can be asked in RBI phase 1 examination, which says that Federal Bank launches India's first biometric authentication for e-commerce card transaction, which means if you are doing shopping on Flipkart and the moment you go on Pay Now, after clicking on Pay Now, you select debit card or maybe credit card, and if you have a debit card or credit card issued by Federal Bank under the concerned new launch, then in that particular case, you will be entering the debit card or credit card details, and once you enter the debit card or credit card details, the authentication will not be done only and only through one-time password which has been sent on your phone or registered mobile number. Rather, the authentication will also be done either by fingerprint scan or by फेस रिकॉग्नाइजेशन. तो या तो आपको फेस को रिकॉग्नाइज किया जाएगा या फिंगरप्रिंट स्कैन किए जाएंगे, और यही जो इंफॉर्मेशन फिंगरप्रिंट स्कैन और या फिर फेस रिकॉग्नाइजेशन की जो इंफॉर्मेशन बैंक के पास है, बैंक विल वेरीफाई द इनपुट विद द स्टोर्ड डेटा, एंड वंस देयर इज अ परफेक्ट मैच, then in that particular case you will be allowed to conduct the transaction. So on 24th of July 2025, Federal Bank has launched in collaboration with M2P Fintech. Federal Bank has rolled out first of its kind biometric authentication system in India for credit and debit card transactions made on e-commerce platforms. This means instead of entering one-time password, now you can approve online payment either with the help of your fingerprint scan or with the help of face recognition. So remember that. What are the features? Biometric authentication. It comes up with faster transaction time. It gives you seamless enrollments. That means you can done via one-time consent during the checkout on supported merchant apps. Then mobile-driven security. Once enrolled, users approve future payments directly through the biometric scans, which you can do from your phones. That means if your phone is having the front camera, your face recognition can be done. If your phone is having the fingerprint scan feature, then that fingerprint scanning will be done by the phone and the information will be shared. And once the approval is received after the matching of the scanned fingerprint and stored fingerprint, then the payment can be done. The system follows the two-factor authentication rule, which has been let down by Reserve Bank of India. If biometric fails, then you have an option of going for one-time password. You have an option going for one-time password. So what is the significance? Sir, it is convenient for the user. It has enhanced security. Digital payment will increase innovation in fintech, which is a part and parcel of the fintech industry these days. Federal Bank's move is pioneering step in India's digital payment landscape. It has come up with a new era of completing the e-commerce payment. Rather than by entering your one-time password, you can complete the payment with the help of your biometric scans, with the help of your biometric authentication. Is this point clear, everyone? So what you need to remember is, you need to remember which bank has launched India's first biometric authentication for e-commerce card transaction. Then your answer would be Federal Bank. And this question has a great possibility that it can be asked in the examination, especially in the phase 1 exam. Got it, guys? Or you can use this information if there is a descriptive answer on digital payment that discuss the development of digital payments in the country. Then in that particular case, you can quote this real life example, which will support your descriptive answer writing that yes, India is doing really very well with respect to the digital payment scenarios. Clear हो गया जी? सारी कहानी समझ आ गई? If everything is clear, the entire news is clear, just give me yes. If entire news is clear, just give me yes, sir. Quickly, so that I can move ahead. ओके ठीक है जी, मेरे से एक क्वेश्चन पूछा गया कि सर नाबार्ड का चेयरमैन कौन अपॉइंट करता है? तो नाबार्ड का अगर आप चेयरमैन का नाम पूछ रहे हो तो धनंजय ने आपको नाम बता दिया, मिस्टर शाहजी केवी इज द करेक्ट आंसर. बट अगर आप ये पूछ रहे हो कि अपॉइंटमेंट कौन करता है, देन माय क्वेश्चन फॉर यू ऑल इज, होमवर्क इज, who recommends heads of all India financial institutes, or I would say how appointment of heads of all India financial institutes is done. So if you want, go through with it, check it out, and remember and remind me in the next class. I'll discuss in the next class. I'm giving you some time so that you can identify, you can Google it, and if you can find the answer, it's fine. Otherwise, I will be discussing it in much detail. So let's move on to the next, and again, a very important news, which has a great possibility that it will be asked in the examination. So recently there was a news that RBI has withdrawn corrective action plan on Religare Fintech Limited. जैसे मैंने ये news पढ़ी, the moment I read this particular news, the first thing which struck my mind was कि what is this corrective action plan? क्योंकि we have already studied PCA. That is what PCA stands for what? Any idea? PCA stands for what? Any idea? Anyone? If you don't know, then just recall that we have discussed this PCA number of times, which stands for prompt corrective action. तो जैसे मैंने ये पढ़ा तो मेरे दिमाग में सबसे पहली चीज यही आई कि सर ये न्यूज को तो बाद में समझेंगे, पहले हमें ये पता होना चाहिए कि क्या करेक्टिव एक्शन प्लान and prompt corrective action plan Are they same? Are they same or they are different? Are they same or they are different? तो मैं पहले इस पे आपके साथ डिस्कस करूंगा, then I will be moving ahead. First of all, if I talk about cap, cap की अगर मैं बात करूं तो it is applied to the institutions like NBFCs, urban cooperative banks as well as commercial banks, but majorly जो cap का target है that is NBFCs, urban cooperative banks, not your commercial banks. It doesn't mean कि commercial bank में valid नहीं है. PCA majorly targets the commercial bank, but that doesn't mean that PCA is not valid on NBFCs. Now they are valid on NBFCs as well. लेकिन एक कहते हैं ना, as per the tradition, cap is more active towards non-commercial institutes and PCA is active towards commercial banks. But it's not a very big difference. The big difference is cap is triggered by qualitative findings. Cap is triggered by qualitative findings. If someone asks you what is the meaning of qualitative findings, it means any kind of misappropriation of funds, any kind of governance failure, any kind of violation during the inspection. अगर ऐसा कुछ भी होगा जैसे कि फंड्स को अप्रोप्रिएटली यूज नहीं किया गया, बैंक के गवर्नेंस में फेलियर हुआ या फिर बैंक ने कुछ वायलेशन किया ड्यूरिंग द इंस्पेक्शन, तो उस केस में बैंक कैन बी और द इंस्टीट्यूट कैन बी इंक्लूडेड अंडर द कैटेगरी ऑफ कैप. लेकिन पीसीए इज मोर क्वांटिटेटिव. PCA is more quantitative findings. In case of quantitative findings, if you remember, there has been clearly mentioned that capital adequacy ratio of the banks should be at least 9%. Second is net NPA of the banks should be up to 6%, and leverage ratio of the banks should be 3% or 3.5% depending upon the category of banks. So once bank CAR falls down below 9%, net NPA increases above 6%, leverage ratio decreases below 3.5%, then PCA will be activated, and there are certain restrictions introduced on PCA, and depending upon the threshold value, the restrictions will be introduced. That means threshold 1, threshold 2 और threshold 3. ठीक है जी. Third point. अब यहाँ पर अगर मैं restrictions की बात करूं, in case of cap, RBI impose tailored restrictions such as limiting exposures, such as requiring governance reforms, such as seeking capital infusion, and these are what? Sir, these are tailored restrictions. का मतलब क्या सर? tailored restrictions का मतलब है जैसा देश वैसा भेष, as per the requirement. But in case of PCA, it's a one thumb rule for all. Where there are 3 threshold values, and if you have crossed threshold 1, then you will be witnessing restriction 1. If you have crossed threshold 2, then restriction 2 and restriction 3, which is similar for all the banks and for that matter even for the NBFCs, irrespective of the structure, size and operations of the given organization. So that is what I'm saying. This is a thumb rule, one thumb rule which fits for all, but it is a tailored restriction which is applied as per the requirement. Then in case of cap, institutions, they are monitored through frequent reports. So cap, RBI review the institutions through frequent reports. But in case of PCA, how banks are reviewed? So they are reviewed, or I would say PCA banks, they must submit mandatory action plan. So once you have included under the category of PCA, you submit a mandatory action plan that I will be following this action plan to go out of this PCA category. So PCA exit happen when institution improves operations, repay debts and stabilize governance. If I talk about PCA, in case of PCA, once you improve your threshold limits, you get out of it. But in case of cap, once you improve your day-to-day operations, you get out of the cap norm. Now, why it was in news? It was in news because recently RBI has withdrawn corrective action plan. RBI has withdrawn corrective action plan on Religare Finvest Limited. So what is this news all about? So Reserve Bank of India has officially revoked the corrective action plan previously imposed on Religare Finvest Limited. Religare Finvest Limited, non-banking financial company and a wholly owned subsidiary of Religare Enterprises Limited. It has been witnessed that cap was originally imposed on this organization in 2018 following the irregularities which were discovered in the RBI inspections which were conducted on the basis of March 2017 data. The inspection revealed serious fund misappropriation and weak financial position. As of March 2022, RFL has accumulated losses of 2,270 crores due to misgovernance and financial misconduct. So due to all these reasons, it was included under the category of cap. RFL initiated a recovery and restructuring plan which resulted in major breakthrough in March 2023. It completed a one-time settlement with 16 lending institutions by repaying a cumulative total of 9,000 crores. So NBFC has borrowed a lot of funds from the banks and it has settled down. One-time settlement was done. That means principal, interest, everything was paid in one-time negotiated value. And this was done with a value of over 9,000 crores. And this demonstrated significant process in resolving legacy issues and stabilizing financial operations. So RBI has finally decided to withdraw the cap over RFL, and this cap has been removed from RFL has been removed out of cap in July 2025 as it has complied with all the prudential and regulatory norms which are applicable. So RBI decision to withdraw cap, promoter change, Burman family takeover. What is it? In early 2025, Burman family, known for their association with Dabur Group, acquired controlling stake in Religare Enterprises Limited through an open offer. So post acquisition, they become official promoter of Religare Enterprises Limited, holding 25.16%, which was another important aspect which has somehow increased the trust towards the Religare Finvest Limited, because of which it has been removed out of corrective action plan. So what is corrective action plan? So it is a regulatory framework which is again developed by the same authority, RBI, to monitor and guide financially weak or stressed banking or non-banking financial institutions such as commercial banks, NBFCs, but majorly focuses on commercial banks. It is a supervisory tool used by RBI to intervene when financial institutions, generally banks or NBFCs, they show a sign of financial distress such as rising NPA, capital erosion or governance issues. So the main goal is to ensure early identification, initiate corrective steps before failure, protect depositors' financial system, and cap is a part of, please pay attention, cap is a part of RBI's prompt corrective action framework for banks and an advisory or custom monitoring regime for NBFCs, which is tailored case by case. So it is not different from PCA, it is a part of PCA only. Cap is typically imposed when RBI detects serious issues such as annual inspection or in audits, violation of prudential norms, excessive non-performing assets, persistent losses, or poor governance and risk management. For example, in 2018, Religare Finvest Limited was placed under cap, and in 2025 it has been removed from the same. So in case of cap, there are components such as capital, asset quality, profitability, governance, lending restrictions, compliance and reporting, but there is no threshold values or limits which has been set under prompt corrective action. So if a financial institution complies with cap and shows sustained improvement, RBI withdraw cap, allowing full operations to resume. However, failure to comply can lead to more strict actions, merger and even liquidation of the company, that means closing down the company in the extreme cases. But don't worry, I have given you the difference between cap as well as PCA, which I have already explained you. So just read it. If any doubt or if any question is asked in the examination, you will be in a position to answer it. So I hope all the news which we have covered are crystal clear. So आज ज़्यादा न्यूज़ थी नहीं, स्पेशली आरबीआई की वेबसाइट पर कोई नई नोटिफिकेशन नहीं थी. So these were some of the important news which I have framed for you. These news, they have a great probability that they will be asked in the phase 1 examination, but the data which we have discussed today, CAP as well as related to urban cooperative banks, the organization related to urban cooperative banks, that can be used while writing a descriptive answer as well, or they can be framed in the form of, you can say, paragraph based question in phase 2 examination as well. So stay prepared. These are some of the news which are going to be ignored by most of the platforms, but we have covered it. And if it comes in the examination, and there is a great probability that they will be asked in the exam, and once they will be asked in the examination, you will be in a position to answer it for sure, because you are attending this session every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday at 5 p.m. So thank you so much guys for attending the session. We'll catch you in the next session to go. Good luck. God bless you all.